Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. It's been another wild week in the MTG Finance markets. Let's jump right in with the top 10 gainers this week, and we'll kick things right off with Seasoned Pyromancer. Currently valued at $16.50, and this thing's up 75% this week. From Modern Horizons, a 3-cost human shaman's a 2/2, and when it enters the battlefield, discard 2 cards, and then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discarded this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. Then you can pay 5 and exile Seasoned Pyromancer from your graveyard and create 2 more elementals. So the reason this thing is getting so much attention right now is because it's in a brand new modern deck that's putting up really good numbers. It's actually a land destruction deck, but this works just amazingly well with Clythos, God of Destiny. As I'm sure you're aware with Clythos, when you go to your pre-combat main phase, you can exile a card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, you add either red or green mana to your mana pool, and if it's a non-land card, you would do 2 damage to your opponent and you gain 2 life. So this obviously pairs really well with Seasoned Pyromancer, because when Seasoned Pyromancer enters the battlefield, you pitch 2 cards you don't want from your hand, and then you can later just go ahead and exile those with Clythos. Moving along to the number 9 spot this week, we have Dismantling Wave from the brand new Commander 2020 set, currently valued at exactly $8, and this is up also 75% this week. Dismantling Wave is 1 white and 2 for a sorcery, and for each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. It has a crazy cycling cost of 2 white and 6, and when you cycle Dismantling Wave, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. But as you can imagine with the new Commander Gabby Nest Tender, where you can cycle 1 card for 0 every turn, you don't have to pay this crazy cycling cost, and you can just go ahead and destroy all artifacts and enchantments essentially for free. So a few of the cards this week either are on the list because they work well with new companion cards from IKORIA and Behemoths, or they are companions themselves, and Spark Double definitely falls into that category. So Spark Double currently valued at $6.20, and this is up 83% this week. Now it did have an interweek high of $6.85, so we're down a little bit off of that mark, but still a healthy gain for sure for this card. Now, Spark Double works really well with Gyruda, Doom of the Depths. I actually did a video on this, so I'll put that up in the top right corner if you're interested in having a look at that deck for Standard. But it's getting a crazy attention in Legacy as well. So essentially what happens is Gyruda comes into play, each player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, and then you can pick any creature with even converted mana cost from among all of the cards that were put into the graveyard. Spark Double obviously is an excellent target because you would just put that right into play, copy Gyruda, and repeat the process. So it's no surprise that Spark Double is getting a lot of attention right now. Alright, so in the number 7 slot this week, we have Souvenir Snatcher from the brand new Commander 2020 set, currently valued at $2.75, and this is up 83% this week as well. Souvenir Snatcher is a 1 blue and 4 for a 4/4 flying bird. Okay, not a bad deal, but it also has a mutate cost of 1 blue and 5, and whenever this creature mutates, you gain control of target non-creature artifact. I couldn't really find anything or any way that this particularly would combo, so I think it's just really a good value play. For essentially 6 mana, you're getting a 4/4 flying bird and stealing one of your opponent's artifacts. Pretty good deal in Commander. Our number 6 winner this week is Shark Typhoon from IKORIA and Behemoths. Now this is currently valued at $6.50, and this is up 95% this week. This is one of the cards that is helping to bring wilderness reclamation like Temur Rec back into the spotlight. So Shark Typhoon is 1 blue and 5. It's an enchantment, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. Now you can cycle it for 1 blue, 1 and X, and whenever you cycle it, you create an XX blue flying shark. So just a really good way to kind of dump some mana in Temur Rec, right? I mean, Temur Reclamation always has a ton of mana at the end of their turn especially, so just a good way to kind of cycle it and go ahead and dump mana, or in the later game, you can actually just drop it as an enchantment and get good value out of it every time you cast a non-creature spell. Our number 5 winner this week is Biorhythm from Onslaught, currently valued at $2.50, and this thing's up 150% this week. Man, 150% in the number 5 slot, that is amazing. So Biorhythm is a 2 green and 6. It's a sorcery, and each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. So obviously this would have some sort of commander use for sure. If you can imagine going into your turn at the end of your opponent's turn, you Psych Rift, and then on your turn casting Biorhythm, you would outright win the game, provided you had at least one creature that stuck around when this resolved. Now that's nothing new, so that wouldn't account for the spike. There must be something to do with one of the new Commander cards from Commander 2020. I couldn't find anything. If you know, why don't you let me know in the comments section below. Now, if you need to pick up a Biorhythm, you can still get a 9th edition one for under $1. All right, our number 4 winner this week is Aeon Sky Nomad, and this is another one of the companion cards from IKORIA Layer Behemoths. Currently priced at exactly $5, and this is up 158% this week. Now, it did have an interweek high of $9, so down quite a bit from there. That said, last week it was $1.64, so excellent increase for sure week over week. Now, Aeon Sky Nomad, so the companion requirement means that you have to have an extra 20 cards in your deck beyond the minimum size of that deck. And essentially, he's a 5-cost 4/5 flyer. Now, when it enters the battlefield, you can blink any number of non-land permanents you control and then return those to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Now, Aeon actually isn't, it's more just sort of a value play. It's more like having that 4/5 flyer that you can cast for 5, sort of at any time, just in the sort of side and waiting there for you to cast. The blink effect really doesn't come into play all that often, although it is nice to blink some ETB creatures in some of the decks that are getting run, like it's getting run in white weenie decks. It's actually getting played in all formats, which is really cool. It's nice to see a card that is getting love in all of the formats for sure. And then, of course, blinking things like Teferi and getting extra loyalty counters and putting them back up to starting loyalty counters, things like that. Just kind of good value. But like I said, more often than not, this is just getting played as that extra sort of 4/5 flyer that you can cast anytime. So our number 3 winner this week is another Commander 2020 card, and that would be Titan Hunter, currently valued at $4, and this is up 162% this week. Straight up value play. It's just a good value creature. For 1 black and 4, we get a creature, a human warrior. It's a 4/5. A 4/5 human, eh? Wow. Anyway, at the beginning of each player's end step, if no creatures died this turn, Titan Hunter deals 4 damage to that player. And you can pay a black and 1 and sacrifice a creature, you gain 4 life. So essentially, if you go ahead and sacrifice a creature on your turn, you're going to gain 4 life instead of losing 4 life. And everybody else has to have something die, or they just sort of lose 4 life at the end of their turn. Pretty good commander tax for sure. Continuing on with cards from Commander 2020 this week, we have Spellpire Phoenix in the number 2 spot, currently valued at $3.30, and this is up 196% this week. 5 mana Phoenix, so 2 red and 3, 4/2 flyer obviously, and when he enters the battlefield, you can return an instant or sorcery card with cycling ability from your graveyard to your hand. Now at the beginning of each end step, if you cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return a Spellpire Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. Just super good value, especially in the Gavi Nest Tender deck when you're cycling 1 card every turn for free. Our number 1 winner this week is up 920%. That's right, it's UBA Mask from Champions of Kamigawa, currently priced at $5. I gotta be honest, I have a bunch of these sitting around in a bulk rare bin. I never thought this card would have been worth anything. It's amazing how a new set can turn some cards from total trash into treasure. So UBA Mask is 4 mana for an artifact. Now, if a player would draw a card, that player removes that card from the game face up instead. Each player may play cards he or she removed from the game this turn with UBA Mask. Now, this pairs with a new card from IKORIA Layer Behemoths called Dragonhill Magistrate. Dragonhill Magistrate is a human creature, and he basically says opponents can only play cards from their hand. That's right, they can't play cards from anywhere other than their hand. So essentially, if you have an UBA Mask in play, especially in Commander, and a Dragonhill Magistrate, if nobody has an answer for it, basically every card they draw for the rest of the game is just going straight into exile, and they can't play it from there. Pretty sweet deal, pretty greasy in Commander. Now, I think this would make an interesting modern deck. I mean, it's really slow, obviously, with 4 mana, but it would be a cool, fun modern deck to play for sure. All right, before I get to cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We post at least 2 videos every week. So the first 3 I have for you guys this week are 3 of the big winners from Throne of Eldraine, and that would be Questing Beast, Embercleave, and Brazen Borrower. Now, Brazen Borrower and Embercleave both saw reprints in the Challenger 2020 decks, so that's a reason why they're definitely seeing a bit of a price drop now. But both of those were only one-ofs in the deck. I would kind of shy away from some of the cards that got 4-of reprints, like Nightpack Ambusher is an excellent card, but there's just been a ton of reprinting of that card, so unfortunately it's going to take a while for the price to stabilize on that one and then start climbing back up again. But Embercleave and Brazen Borrower were each only one-ofs, and these are good quality cards that will definitely have uses in multiple formats going down the road. Questing Beast is starting to level out, so in the last week or so, it's been level at around $12. I predict this will start increasing again going from here. This is going to be in standard for quite a while, so definitely a card that's going to be seeing a lot of play going forward. It's just a good value card for future sets as well. It does see Pioneer play, Modern play, even some Legacy play, and then of course Commander as well. Alright, and the next one I have for you guys this week is Search for Ascanter from Ixalan. So I recently sold one of these out of my case. It's been actually a while since I sold one, and I couldn't believe the price of $7.50 on this. I honestly thought this card was still $10-12. So at $7.50, just an excellent bargain for this card. I mean, gets play in Pioneer and Modern, and of course Commander. And with the recent Calamax Commander, I think this would slot really well into that build for sure. So just good solid value, good solid long-term investment at $7.50. And the last one I have for you guys this week is our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Knowledgeful from Mirrodin Besiege. Currently priced around the $1.15 mark, and this was also printed in Mystery Boosters. It's the retail exclusive edition, which means it's the foil copy, and you can get that for just $1. Absolute steal for a foil copy of Knowledgeful. So this card's had all-time highs in around the $6 range, and we are well off that mark right now, which makes it a really good sort of speculative play for sure. It's always going to be able to find a home in different sort of builds, and there's different kinds of cards that are going to crop up and work with Knowledgeful, especially in something like Commander. One of the more recent cards that works really well with this, and I'd like to actually thank Will S. for pointing this out for me, is Dragonhill Magistrate from the new IKORIA Layer Behemoth set. Dragonhill Magistrate says, essentially, your opponents can only play cards from their hands, so they can't cast spells from anywhere else other than from their hands. Now, Knowledge Pool has imprint. When Knowledge Pool enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of their library. And then whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it. If the player does, he or she may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying that card's mana cost. So essentially, what happens is when Knowledge Pool is in play, you'll cast a card and that card will immediately become exiled before it resolves. And then you can pick something that's been previously exiled with Knowledge Pool. So it's like a trade, and cast that for free. Now, where this really comes into play and becomes really nasty with Dragonhill Magistrate is that Dragonhill Magistrate does not allow your opponent to cast any cards from anywhere else besides in their hand. As soon as they go to cast something, it's going to immediately become exiled by Knowledge Pool without resolving. And then the card that they would get to cast with Knowledge Pool, they will not get to cast because of Dragonhill Magistrate. So if they don't have an answer for Dragonhill Magistrate or Knowledge Pool, whichever one comes into play second, immediately, essentially they don't get to cast any spells for the rest of the game. Pretty good deal if you're playing something like Commander for sure, and that is our speculation play for the week. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.